During the late 2000s, the US government and the Pentagon were trying to find new ways to combat the war on terror. Now, more specifically, they were trying to find new torture methods to use on prisoners. They found a promising young man named Hidetaka Miyazaki out of Japan to create new forms of torture for them. While on contract from the US government, he created demon souls. His goal with the project was to create immense amounts of fear and pain using a virtual medium. It was tested on prisoners in Guantanamo Bay, and the results were shocking. The prisoners enjoyed themselves. The pain and the fear and the torture was still there, but there was happiness. Those sick fucks were having fun. So then the US shut down Miyazaki's project and it was shelved. But Miyazaki was not done. He said, "This can be marketed. We can make bank off this." He then tapped into a niche market of masochists. These brave souls bought Demon Souls in 2009 for the PS3 and helped him protect his method of madness. With this game as a stepping stone, he was able to perfect the levels of torture in Dark Souls 1, and the rest is history. Now the market for people who want to feel immense pain and then joy after, and then do it all over again is growing, and I am now part of it, unfortunately. After years of perfecting his craft, Demon Souls, the original, was remade for the PlayStation 5. This fresh coat of paint lured new players into experiencing the raw, untamed madness that he had created back in 2009. This form of torture at some points was extreme. There are no checkpoints. There's a poison swamp like all of his games, but this one especially sucks dick. There are maybe 3 shortcuts in the whole game. You can't respec your character. You don't see status effects, so you don't know how much poison you built up. Dragon God boss fight is almost as bad as Beta Chaos. The final boss has a grab move where if he gets you, he drains your soul levels. And to top that off, if you die in human form, you lose half your health bar unless you have a specific ring. So really, you only have 1 extra ring slot. So the remake keeps all these things. I'm not gonna knock it for that, because like the thing like the health bar, the bosses, those are like part of the game, and you don't want to remake those parts because that was what made Demon Souls. But them not adding a way to respec status effects, things like that, it's kind of whack to me. You know, it's a little too faithful. Sometimes you can cheat on the side a little bit. You didn't hear that from me though. Now, remember I said this was the rawest form of torture he had created. And that's why I think this is probably the easiest of the Souls games I've played. And I've played all of them to completion except for Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne. Yes, I know I haven't played Bloodborne to the finish. It's not my fault. It's not, I swear it's not my fault. But I have played enough of Bloodborne where that game is definitely a lot more difficult than this. Honestly, the first one is a lot of the bosses just aren't memorable. Some are bad, like I already mentioned Dragon God, that boss sucks. It also doesn't help the bosses that you have to run through like most of the level to get to them a lot, unless you find a few shortcuts. Honestly, a lot like the last bosses you fight in each world in like the 3rd stage. If you can even call it that, they're not really levels around them. Those were the most like non-memorable to me. Like after the entirety of Valley of Defilement, that horrible place, it's a great level because it's hard. It's definitely the hardest in the game, but it's a slog, and you expect something good at the end, and you just kind of whack this girl's knight, and then that sounded really weird. And honestly, none of them were that hard. My favorite boss was Flame Lurker. I died to him the most. I still less than 10 times, I think. He was like the only one I remember beating, being like, yes, I did it. I overcame something. And of course, he's the only boss I didn't record myself beating. Man-Eater was kind of funny because they were just glitching all over the place when they try to fly in the air. It's like they would like dive forward and just like float in the air and shit. It was kind of wacky. I was just waiting for him to come down with my sword, like please come fight me. I'm trying to get through this. The thing where the game shines is the backdrop for each of the bosses. Like the areas themselves are really cool. Shrine of Storm's probably my least favorite. It's still cool because it's like a stormy island, but all those fucking stingrays trying to snipe me from the cliffs can like please eat my chode. My favorite is probably Latria. It's a cool like prison on the bottom, and then you go up these towers towering above the clouds full of dark creatures, and it's so cool. And then you go to the depths and there's plague monsters everywhere. You're like, ugh, this is gross, but I'm one-shotting them, so I feel like a badass. But I think what really helps these worlds is that the game looks gorgeous. It's like Scarlett Johansson gorgeous, you know what I'm saying? Although in this case it might be like a Kim Kardashian gorgeous because they like remade it all, so it's like plastic surgery. Maybe it's like that kind of gorgeous. I don't know. I think I'm going too deep into this. All you need to know, this is the best looking games I've ever seen, and I don't discriminate. The facial animations look good. The particle effects. When you kill enemies and they scream and fade away, you feel like a god. You feel like Thanos at the end of Infinity, where you just wiped out an entire civilization of people. You know, you killed old hero, he screams and he's Anyways, combat's pretty cool. It's just you're running in the middle of Dark Souls. It's good. You hit the wall a billion times, probably more in this game than any of the others. I did a faith build, and honestly most of the miracles in this game kind of below. Some are pretty useful in multiplayer, but I don't play multiplayer. And then most of the good ones are just like you either cure status effect or you heal. And then there was one I got towards the end of the game where if I died, I would get rezzed. I never tested though because I'm too good at the game, so I never died. I don't know a whole lot about the spells, I just know that Firestorm is still entirely broken. The plot in this game, it's like porn, you're not here for the plot, you're here to feel pain and suffering. Anyways, it's mainly just like this king brings demons into his kingdom to reclaim his glory, and then you gotta kill him, and then the ending is kind of cool actually, because you beat like this really big demon, and then there's like a thing inside it you gotta fight. I don't want to spoil it, but it's like there's just a lot of stuff going on. And then in like the main area, there's like Christians versus atheists, there's like a whole thing going on in there, but I'm just trying to talk to Stockpile Thomas because he has all my stuff. Also, there's like this emo chick with wax in her eyes that helps you level up. I'm oddly attracted to her. You know, overall, this is a really good remake. It's a little too faithful to the original, but seeing just the origins of pain and suffering that this game created, it was definitely an enjoyable experience. But you know what they say, the ultimate cock and ball torture can only be experienced once. And this is not the ultimate CBT. You know, it needs to modernize some things, add respecking. The bosses are just outdated. I don't want to say it, but like they're just, a lot of them just aren't that enjoyable. But honestly, with the new coat of paint, the game still holds up pretty well in terms of the areas and the enemies. It's kind of just a smaller Dark Souls. The game isn't really glitchy, which is cool. I think it's just an overall solid experience. Now, I don't think it's worth $70 up front. I played on like the PS Plus game library thing, so I didn't have to pay full price. I paid a fucking $120. So since I don't like owning my games, I didn't have to pay that. I think it's probably on sale for like $40 now. I think it's worth it for $40. You get about 20-25 hours the first playthrough, which honestly for this kind of game I think is a perfect length, because you don't want too much pain and suffering with your happiness and joy. I think it's got to be a good balance. Like Elden Ring is like 100 hours. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna like rip my penis off. But we'll get into that another day. Final score for this game, I'm gonna say it's a low A tier game. Yeah, we doing tier lists because I want to be different. I was maybe gonna put a high B, but man, those particle effects, it's like you snap and it's like bliss.